Today in crypto, Bitcoin is maintaining good price momentum as billions of dollars in stablecoins sit ready to buy up the market. The USA discusses yet another round of stimulus, this time for a casual $500 billion. More DeFi vulnerabilities over the weekend have resulted in millions of dollars in crypto being stolen, so I want to make sure that you know how to keep yourself safe. The Crypto Lark. This is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out there in the wild, wild land of crypto. By the way, if you are new to cryptocurrency and you still need help figuring out all of the basics like how to buy Bitcoin, how to send Bitcoin, how to store Bitcoin, and how to successfully invest in cryptocurrencies in general, then check out my course. It's called Cryptocurrency Explained. This course will walk you through all of those topics and more with step-by-step tutorials and critical resources, everything you need to get started in one place without having to spend a lot of time running around the internet trying to piece everything together. There's a link in the description where you can learn more. So a quick peek at the charts here to get started off with today. It is very nice to see Bitcoin on the daily maintaining above the 50-day moving average. It's a very nice spot for Bitcoin. Holding here will really continue to reinforce that bullish narrative that is starting to be created in the market right now. A drop below that line around the $6,900 mark, though, could set us up for a bit of loss of faith in that bullish narrative and let the bears back out. Looking at the exponential moving averages, the price is currently struggling with the 50-day EMA. So let's see if Bitcoin can actually make a definitive close above this line on the daily before we really start that journey upwards across over the 100-day EMA around 7,500, and then of course the 200-day EMA at around $8,000, which is also where the 200-day standard moving average is. If we can get across these lines and really just close a definitive couple of candles above those 200-day moving averages, then I would say that we are back in business and it will be on to bull season once again. Until then, though, I do appreciate the current momentum, but take it all with a grain of salt. Nice, though, to see Bitcoin maintaining a solid uptrend on the daily currently as well. And of course, the weekly just closed for Bitcoin, giving us our fifth green candle in a row, which is definitely nice to see. The general momentum in the market has definitely been encouraging and is really, I think, getting people excited about that bullish narrative again. But do remain aware of the wider risks to the global economy right now, and that the crisis, it is far from over. So still a lot of wild cards could be pulled out here, but a bit of hopium could come in the form of stablecoin accumulation on exchanges. Right now, cryptocurrency exchanges are holding over $3 billion in stablecoins on behalf of their customers, showing that traders and investors are essentially sitting with just loads of cash ready to be deployed into the markets. Yeah, sure, a percentage of this is just the traders moving in and out of the markets, but a good amount of that will be those who are waiting to either buy an upcoming dip or perhaps waiting for further confirmation that the bulls are indeed back in charge of the markets before entering their long-term plays. $3 billion, that's a lot of cheddar, man. It's a lot of cheddar. And when that money starts moving back into Bitcoin, it could have a very dramatic effect on the price, pushing the markets very high, very fast. But when it comes to having lots and lots of cheddar, no one does it quite like America. Now, you remember on Friday in our episode how I was saying that the small business stimulus loan program was already out of its $350 billion budget? Yeah, well, over the weekend, the U.S. administration, they have been discussing putting up another $450 billion in stimulus to fight the current crisis. Now, the program would consist of $300 billion to the Paycheck Protection Program and $60 billion to a separate emergency loan program for small businesses. Of course, it is worth remembering that the previous $350 billion for small businesses ran out in just 3 weeks. So how long will this current tranche of money take to disappear? Not long. That's how. It'll be gone really, really fast. This proposal also includes around $100 billion for hospitals and for testing for the virus. So, is this money needed for these purposes? I have no doubt that it is. And obviously, these people should be helped, these businesses should be helped, and hospitals should be helped, all of that. I'm not disagreeing with the idea of spending all this money. The question, though, is where is that money coming from? What is the long-term impact of that? You see, this is another $500 billion in just 1 week. In 1 week. That money does not come from a magical savings account or from selling gold from Fort Knox or something like that. No, 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 no. Just typing it into the computer. That's it. Magic money just appears. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. It's crazy. Massive inflation could be coming for the dollar. And while Bitcoin may not have done very well in the short term of this liquidity crisis that was sparked back in March, long term, we will see Bitcoin shining as the inflation crisis starts to heat up. There is no way that all this debt and money supply expansion is going to happen without hurting the dollar in the long term. Now on to the main theme of today's video, keeping your crypto safe. The first is about storage risks for your Bitcoin. So a longtime community member was actually robbed the other day. He shared a story. It's terrible what happened to him. While he was away from home, someone climbed onto his balcony, came in through his door, stole his laptop, and they stole a framed piece of art on his wall that contained his one and only Bitcoin paper wallet. All the Bitcoin that he has been diligently stacking for 3 years, and there was no copy. It's a devastating story. I'm just so sorry to hear this happen. This guy's been such a big community supporter for the last few years. He's just a good dude, and it's just a tough situation. But I really want to take just a minute to tell this story because it's just such an important reminder to take your security of your crypto just incredibly seriously. Always remember the best practices when it comes to storing your Bitcoin. Paper wallets, for example, on the one hand, they are quite safe. On the other hand, they are just paper, and that paper can get wet or eaten by a dog or stolen. So, it's not a perfect solution. And of course, entering that private key later on to retrieve your Bitcoin can also be tricky. Hardware wallets, they remain the most effective and the safest way for the average user to safely store their crypto. If you do not yet have a hardware wallet, then please consider getting one as the safest way for the average user to successfully store their crypto. But whether you choose a paper or a software or a hardware wallet, always maintain the best practices. Write down and keep at least 2 copies of your keys or your passphrase, and always do this using pen and paper. Laminate it if you can, of course, to prevent water damage as well, and then take those copies and put them in different places. Very simple stuff here, but very important. Make sure you put it somewhere completely just not obvious and in something in which a thief would never consider taking, like a Jane Austen book or something like that. Never store your keys online either. You have a high risk of losing your crypto if you do. Your crypto can be gone in an instant if you don't properly secure it. If you do need a hardware wallet, then Ledger currently has an awesome sale going on where you can actually get a family pack or a backup pack, so you can get yourself a whole big pile of ledgers. Now, me personally, I always have multiple devices on hand. Got a Ledger Nano X, Ledger Nano S, and a Nano X in the box. This is just in case I lose one or in case one of these devices gets stolen, then I can just take my passphrase, set it up on the new device, and I'm back in business. My passphrases are hidden in incredibly secure and hard to find places, so I feel quite comfortable about my backup for my security. And of course, even if someone actually does steal your Ledger wallet, it just resets after 3 failed login attempts. So it's very, very secure. The device is a very good place to keep your crypto. There's a link down below where you can get yourself a Ledger, and I'll also include a video tutorial for the Ledger, which will actually answer many of the common questions that people seem to have about using one of these devices. Please, please, please take your security seriously. All of your years of stacking sats can be invalidated in a minute of crime, so please take it seriously. And finally, the big story of today is that over the weekend, a number of major decentralized finance exploits have happened. So someone took advantage of a known exploit in the ERC77 token standard to steal $300,000 in Ethereum and wrapped Bitcoin from a Uniswap token pool. There has also been a critical vulnerability which has been found by the Curve team in the Synthetics SUSD contract. Now, the vulnerability was found before anything bad happened. All the funds are safe. There has been no loss. The vulnerability is currently being fixed. I actually think the team has done really well here to act proactively to prevent any exploits of that vulnerability from happening. This is why using a trusted professional decentralized finance application like Synthetics is so important in the first place, because you have people working actively on the development of that product which you can trust. But the big one of the weekend has to be this one. Lending protocol LendF.me was hacked for $25 million in crypto. The hacker drained basically all of the funds on the platform. So this graph here, you can see, so eloquently illustrates how quickly the crypto disappeared from this platform. And the hackers, in a very savage follow-up, even sent a few $1,000s worth of Paxos tokens back to the team with a little note attached on the blockchain. Better future. Burn, man, that hurts. The exploit was, again, a known attack vector that took advantage of a known smart contract vulnerability. Now, LendF.me came under a lot of criticism, actually, because it actually deployed and then apparently bastardized Compound Finance's copyrighted code without consent. And more critically, it is apparent that the code thieves not only lacked the knowledge to develop their own smart contracts, but they also lacked the knowledge to properly maintain those smart contracts and to know how to audit for security vulnerabilities. 25 million bucks in crypto gone. Just like that. If there is a backdoor, the hackers will find it. There is no stopping them. It's their full-time job. This is what they do. But this, for me, just underlines that it's important to understand that risks remain in the decentralized finance space, which is why for most people, lending with someone like BlockFi, if you're going to get involved in lending, is a much better option than lending on a lot of these decentralized markets. However, if you are going to be using a decentralized finance product, then there are some things to keep in mind that you can use to keep yourself safe. First off, only use trusted and well-established providers. I'm talking the likes of Kyber Network and Synthetics and Compound Finance. They are teams that have proven that they have what it takes to stay ahead of the curve, to find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do, and to fix them and be really, really proactive about their code bases. Of course, never risk more than you can afford to lose on DeFi either. We are still in the early experimental stages of this technology. Mistakes will happen, money will be lost. Also, use insurance on your DeFi plays if you can. Companies like Nexus Mutual actually offer you the chance to insure your funds against smart contract failure, but they do not insure all companies. So be very wary of new players like LendF.me that are entering the market. Many of these guys, they're going to be fly-by-night types of operations, just riding the DeFi hype wave. More money will be lost in DeFi. You can count on it. That being said, I remain incredibly optimistic about the future of decentralized finance. The early adopters of this technology, they are taking risks so that the rest of us can sleep easy in the future. But if you are not up for the risks of decentralized finance, or you do not understand the risks, then keep your Bitcoin or your Ethereum just locked up on your ledger. Or if you do want to get into the lending markets, use a service like BlockFi. They're highly regulated, highly compliant, and a lot safer than a lot of these DeFi platforms. But long term, this technology layer, which we see being built on open public networks like Ethereum, will be fundamental in challenging the existing financial order and in massively disrupting it. So I remain very bullish on the future of DeFi. Your question for today: what are you doing to keep your cryptocurrency secure? And are you using any DeFi applications? And if so, do you fully understand the risks that you are taking? Would love to know down below in the comment section what you are doing to keep your crypto safe. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Massively appreciate, as always, the time you take out of your day to come over here and watch this dude talk about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Seriously, none of this is possible without you, so thank you so much. And if you did enjoy today's video, hit that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.